A giant battle has begun, the fight for a kingdom's freedom. One of our protagonists, called Yuri, is fighting forces of evil barely holding on. He has prepared an army that is now in battle with the evil Black Army. The Black King who wants to cover the land in darkness and despair needs to be defeated once and for all. The army of heroes that has come to defeat the evil army is made of different tribes and races all across the land of Yggdra. They all have a common goal to free their land from evil. The battle is hard, with the enemy using powerful mages and warriors to defeat our heroes. And unfortunately for Yuri and his hero army, the day is unsuccessful. The Black King turns the tides of battle, and the magical chain Chronicle, which records the history of the land, is shattered into two pieces. The heroes need to retreat as they are slowly losing more and more of their forces. Pitrika, who is one of the spirit companions helping Yuri, mysteriously disappears in battle. The heroes are injured, Yuri especially, and they all regroup trying to come up with a new plan, but it is already too late. Some of the generals and commanders from the Alliance have already given up and the army has fallen apart. The Black King emerges victorious and now he can further engulf the land in darkness. However, all hope is not lost just yet, as we are introduced to our main protagonist, called Aram, a young farm boy who lives a pretty normal life. Knights from the Black Army enter a small village where Aram is residing. He refuses to let innocent people get hurt, so he intervenes, challenging the Black Army knights. Yuri and his friends also join the battle. For what appears to be a normal farm boy, Aram's skills in combat is godlike. And Yuri also notices that he has extremely powerful magic skills too. After Yuri and Aram defeat the knights with ease, the group of heroes get familiar with each other. Aram meets Yuri's friends, but before they can properly be introduced, Aram passes out. It turns out the magic he used drained all his energy. Later that night, after Aram awakens, the gang is sitting by the fire eating together. Fona, who harnesses a great healing ability, cooked all of them food, but everybody hates it, besides Aram, who seems to love it. Suddenly their dinner is interrupted when the chain Chronicle awakens and unleashes a giant dark energy, and Fona is barely able to contain it with the help of Aram. The dark energy stops and the gang realizes that there is still hope, as it seems that their friend and spirit guide, called Pirika, might still be alive. Their mission has now been changed and they decide that finding her is imperative. Later, Yuri and Aram talk about him joining the army in the battle against the Black King. At first, Aram is reluctant as he has always fought alone, but Yuri convinces him by showing how important friends and good bonds truly are. The next day, the crew joins a battle in a giant city. The Black Army is in all-out attack and we see the heroes fight with honor to stop them. Aram shows off his powers and skills in battle, while also using his special magic abilities to give everyone a weapon upgrade. A guy called Buckhart, who is one of the royal knights that has been with Yuri and his gang for a while, is tasked by Princess Julia to stay by their side while she goes around the land trying to find people to join the fight against the Black Army. He is very angry as he feels like he doesn't fit in with the group, but he still decides to follow her orders anyway. One of the strongest fighters from Yuri's crew, called Dusty, gives Aram his best sword as a sign of friendship. On the other hand, Burkhart feels even more isolated. Later, Princess Julia says her farewells and prepares to set off on her mission while Yuri and his crew go their own separate ways. Problems start to erupt almost immediately when an evil mage for the Black King shows up, called Irenis. She corrupts Burkhart with the darkness, and after he struggles for his life, he regretfully accepts his new form and becomes a demon. He then goes on to attack Yuri and Aram as well as the rest of the heroes, and after a brief battle he disappears. The gang informs Princess Julia of what has happened with Burkhart, and she is heartbroken to find out her former friend has turned to darkness. Meanwhile, cities are being overrun and set on fire. People dressed in black hoods that want to become demons and join the Black King are now attacking royal knights and guards. Princess Julia confronts one man who says he would rather become a demon than be captured. She explains what being a demon really means and how he will never see his family and friends if he goes through with it. Elsewhere, we see that Yuri is suffering from his condition because of his fight with the Black King. His arm has almost totally been consumed by darkness and Fona tries to heal him with the Chronicle, but it doesn't work. The next day, the crew is nearing the Sage Tower and asks its master called Melchior for help. However, instead, he wants to test the gang, so he sends out his mages to attack them. He is impressed when he sees Aram use his magic to help his teammates. Finally, the crew is invited into the tower where Melchior along with his mage council explain that the Imperial City is now under a darkness barrier, and that they need to travel to the Maze Pass for answers. Melchior also sends a couple of his mages with the crew. Elsewhere in a barren wasteland, lighting comes down and it seems to have summoned a mysterious creature. The crew make their way up the snowy Maze Pass. They are caught in a giant blizzard, but that is not the end of their troubles, as some undead knights show up and attack them too. The group are shocked that the darkness has even managed to find its way up the mountains. With the help of their new mage friends, they fight the zombies, But fire swords and arrows are not enough as the zombies regenerate. However, one of the mages uses his flame abilities and is able to burn all the undead. But it also melts the snow, so Yuri and Aram fall down a cliff into the unknown. It is only them now, so they have to dig a snow cave to survive until they are found. The crew finds their way to the caves where the earth and fire spirits live, who promise to help find their friends. Marina and Fona examine a giant artifact and the Chronicle book starts to glow. Meanwhile, Yuri gets lost in the snow and begins fighting with himself as the darkness slowly consumes his mind. But luckily Aram comes to his rescue to defeat the incoming zombie attack. Later they meet an old man who tells Yuri of a dragon that will come and change the world. Finally, the gang finds them and the earth and fire spirits join the army as well. They continue their journey and are met by a guy called Shuza, who is one of their previous allies that has now decided to steal the Chronicle and become king himself. Shuza begins threatening Fona to give him the chain Chronicle. Then he and Yuri get in a sword fight. Shuza is disgusted with Yuri and his approach to battle and leadership, and everyone from the gang starts to fight Shuza's armies. Elsewhere, Princess Julia sees how distraught and scared her people are, and decides it is time she succeeds the throne and becomes the one true leader. Shuza fights both Yuri and Aram and finally gets his hands on the book. But suddenly a creature shows up as well as Irenaeus, Burkhard and other servants of the Black King. The creature is an ancient golem called Alzada, and it will destroy anyone who gets in its way. Shuza's forces attack and the Black Army shows up. Yuri slowly began to transition fully into the darkness but is still desperately fighting it. Irenaeus shows him how his friends will all die if he doesn't submit. And finally he is confronted by a dark version of himself. In an effort to stop the darkness he stabs that version. But it is then revealed he stabbed his friend Kine. This pushes Yuri over the edge and he fully transforms into a servant of the evil Black King. And Princess Julia becomes the rightful ruler. Yuri, who is now a Black Knight himself, leaves with the rest of the evil mages through a portal. Later in the night, Marina is trying to keep Kine alive but his wound is too great. On the other hand, Aram and Fona connect over dinner. Fona is heartbroken after what happened to Yuri and blames the war for losing himself. Aram consoles her and tells her there is still hope. They decide that the mission is still important and they need to make their way to the Spirit Island and try to find Pirika, as it is their only way of saving Yuri. Meanwhile, Queen Julia hears of the news about Yuri and Shuza, deciding that she will fight for her people even against former allies. While the gang approaches Spirit Island, Yuri, who is now a Black Knight, also lands on the island. When Aram and Fona land on the island, it is crawling with darkness and black armies. They manage to make their way to the Tree of Life where Yggdra is. Their mission is to go to Yggdra where they can find answers deep within the Chronicle. Yuri shows up as the Black Knight and attacks Aram. But after a brief battle, Aram and Fona manages to escape into the tree where the administrator takes them to the source. Fona and Aram are taken by the administrator on a journey through the Chronicle of the continent. They see Yuri and his battle with the Black King, as well as how he trained himself to become a knight and protect innocent people as a child. All this leads to Pirika telling them she will return. Meanwhile, Rafalgar fights Yuri to keep him from getting to the Chronicle, but Yuri infects it with darkness. At the end, Aram and Fona make their way back from the island, determined to continue their mission. Fona and Aram make their way to the desert city in search of Musica, who is a powerful being who can awaken even a dragon with her voice. While Fona looks for Musica, Aram goes to the place where negotiations between Queen Julia and Shuza are taking place. Shuza wants Julia to give up the throne as she is not fit to lead. The negotiations are cut short when the Black Army arrives, and Shuza fights Alzada while Queen Julia fights her former ally Burkhard. Their battles are fierce with Aram trying to help as much as he can. The darkness is everywhere and it slowly starts to consume both Shuza and Julia until Aram intervenes. At their most dire moment, Aram's small pet furball turns into a giant guardian dragon and the forces of evil run away. The final preparations for the attack on the Black King are on their way. Aram shows up with Furball, which is now a giant dragon. The earth and fire spirits as well as all their allies group at the Sage Tower. Fona shows up with Musica and her friends, and the mages are creating powerful flying vehicles to attack the fortress. Meanwhile, the condition of the continent is getting worse, as the Black King is spreading his darkness everywhere. No one is safe anymore, not even our heroes at Sage Tower. Burkhard teleports into the base and starts attacking Aram, but is thrown off the arc when Furball fires a mean blast at him. The final battle begins. The Black King's suppression army with all its allies attacks the Black King in the final battle for the continent. The king manages to capture Fona during the battle. She tries to reason with Yuri, but he uses his darkness to silence her. The king finally has his hands on the Chain Chronicle, and all the free armies of the continent join in the battle, including everyone that the group met on their journey and all the allies that Queen Julia collected. Burkhard fights with Julia one last time. Julia tries to get him to remember how honorable he was as a royal guard, but in a final blow decides to defeat him as he is too far gone. And Burkhard is no more. Aram faces Yuri and is faced with a choice. Will he be forced to kill his best friend or can he save him? Aram and Yuri begin having a fierce battle. Yuri seems to be just too fast and powerful, but all of a sudden all of his friends show up. Even Kain, who has now fully healed. Together, all of them face their former friend and leader, and together they manage to restore his heart and soul. Yuri is now free of the darkness and he joins the fight against the Black King. Phonia decides to sacrifice herself and absorb all of the darkness from the Chronicle. Aram and Yuri face the king and with their joined power, they manage to destroy the darkness within him. The battle is done, and the darkness is no more. Phona is slowly dying when Pirika shows up and heals her. It is revealed that the Black King was Phona's father and he entrusts her with the Chronicle. And the crew sets sail to a new and exciting adventure. And this brings the anime to an end. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on another video. Until next time, take care.